Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Heal with Kat podcast. My name is Kat. I am your host, and welcome to a really fun and educational episode this week all about women's health and hormones. This week I have Maddy Pollock, a cancer survivor turned hormone health coach and yoga instructor who works with women who want to balance their hormones naturally through nutrition, movement, and mindfulness. She talks a lot about calming the nervous system in order to balance our hormones, cortisol, and control our cortisol and deal with frustrating symptoms that most of us have been told are normal by doctors. If you are a woman who struggles with your hormones, or you suffer from PMS, irregular periods, painful periods, or you're just curious about women's health in general, this podcast is going to be conversational, but very enlightening as well. We talk about everything under the sun when it comes to mindfulness, physical, and even emotional health with women. And I told Maddy this on the episode. I have been dying to have a conversation with someone about this on the podcast because it's been a huge part of my life for the last year. So we have a lot of fun on the conversation, like I said, but you will definitely walk away enlightened with some more information about your health if you're a woman. And if you know someone who is a cancer survivor or going through cancer treatment now, send them this episode. Let them know that there is hope on the other side of their treatment in healing their body and feeling like themselves again. So with that, everybody, let's get into this week's episode. Everyone, please help me welcome Maddy Pollock to the Heal with Kat podcast. Maddy, welcome.
Hi, Kat. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We were just talking about that you have no relation to Jackson Pollock.
No, unfortunately not, because that would be nice.
Well, I'm really grateful that you're on the podcast with us today because you do have such a powerful story about your own mind-body healing and connection being a cancer survivor, which I would love to hear more about. But also you've transitioned into this career as a hormone health coach. And I think, you know, on the Heal with Kat podcast, I've been extremely open with my community about my own hormone, gut, autoimmune journey. And I've kind of found myself in this place where I'm at the intersection between the emotional, the mind, the physical, and the spiritual, all connecting deeply within my health issues. And I think that we're in such a fortunate and privileged time of technology and information where we can put pieces of those different sections together and actually look at the root cause of things that are going on. So without telling your story for you, because actually I don't even know much about it, please tell us, you know, your powerful path of moving from cancer survivor to hormone health coach and the healing journey you've been on.
Well, thank you so much for that beautiful intro. And it is really true, and we'll talk about it, I'm sure, but like it's all so connected. And I don't think a lot of us learn that until maybe we need to. I know that was at least my experience. So yeah, I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a type of blood cancer at 24 years old. So I'm 31 now. It was about 7 years ago. And then I went through chemo and radiation and was done with all of that in, you know, a year from that. So when I was 25 years old. And post-treatment is really hard. I think a lot of people who haven't had cancer or experienced someone with cancer don't really understand that a lot of the times, where like treatment is over and then you're kind of expected to like jump back into life. And it's like, wait, hold on, like what the hell just happened? So that was definitely my experience, like both physically and mentally. I was really struggling after treatment was over. And unfortunately, I love my doctors, but I wasn't really getting direction from them in terms of like how to eat differently. Should I go to therapy? Like there was no really support after. It's just kind of like, see you in 3 months and we'll do a scan and see where you're at. So that kind of led me down the path like to my own wellness of like understanding not really why it happened, because truly like a lot of the times with cancer, we just aren't ever going to know, but more so how can I help myself not ever have to go through that again? Because clearly what I was doing for my body was not working previously. And I wasn't really healthy. You know, I was 24, I was drinking a lot, going out, not paying attention to what I was eating, like literally at all. And so I figured like something with my nutrition. I never learned how to cook. I never learned how to eat healthy really. So I kind of dove into like the nutrition piece of things first. And that's where I joined. I don't know if you've heard of the like online program, Institute for Integrative Nutrition.
Oh yeah, I have.
Yeah. So I did that. They're like year-long health coaching program, and it like changed my life fully. Just learned how to like actually fuel my body. And it's a very holistic program. So they talk about like the mind-body connection, really taking care of the mind and anxiety. I had a ton of like PTSD and anxiety after. So that was kind of like my first intro into like the wellness world. And then I, started to shift my career into helping people just like feel healthier and then also work with survivors after treatment. So I did that for a couple years. And then I went into the hormone space because, I felt like I was coaching, I was like eating healthy. I thought I was working out, well or whatever. And I was still having symptoms that I couldn't really explain. And like my doctors were like, everything looks normal. But I've had always irregular periods. So my period never really like fully came back after cancer. It was like 3 years later. I would get it like maybe 2 or 3 times a year. And when it would come, it would be like painful. I was getting headaches every single day. I was really anxious, even though I, again, felt like I was like doing the things to take care of myself. And so I went to a naturopath and she did blood work and they look at things very differently. And she was like, you have PCOS. And your hormones are all over the place. So that kind of opened me up to the hormone world. And then I went back and got my hormone health certification. And that is, where I kind of focus like a lot of my practice on now.
Thank you for sharing that. There's so many things that are like moving through my brain right now. I'm actually doing this. I'm doing this course right now with Dr. Gabor Mate around, it's called like the Masters of the Healers. And he's really bringing together, stress, autoimmune, cancer, women's health, all these different components. And, something like cancer at 24, you always wonder, why are people at such young ages predisposed to something like this? Did you ever get any clarity around, this diagnosis and where it came from? Or did you just chalk it up to it just happened and I have to make changes moving forward?
Yeah. I mean, there were no clear answers. Like, doctors can't really tell you unless it's very clear. But with Hodgkin's lymphoma specifically, like, you don't really know. I mean, now that I've kind of gone into this journey of like really believing everything is fully connected, and I talked to my naturopath about this too, of like, I really hold my anxiety in my chest. That's where my mass was found. And I really hold it there. Like even now, so I have like scar tissue there from the mass. Even now when I'm stressed or overwhelmed or anxious, like my chest, I can feel it, like my scar tissue gets inflamed and I can just like feel it in my chest. And I never really like knew I had anxiety. Like no one really like talked about anxiety until around that time, honestly. I'm not saying like it was my fault or anything, because I do hate to like blame ourselves also, but I do think I just had such, bad and intense anxiety and I like held it there. And I think that has to do with it. And again, I just didn't have any like really coping mechanisms to deal with it back then.
And when you were going through the treatment for your cancer, is that when you started making a lot of the changes, or did it come after chemo? Did you say you went through chemo and
and radiation? Yeah, the changes didn't come till after, because kind of during, you're just in survival mode, you're just like, whatever, I'm gonna just get through this and then I'll be on the other side and like just eating whatever sounds good. So I didn't until afterwards. And that's why also like I still work with people in the cancer community, and that's why really I do only kind of work with people who are after active treatment, because it's just really hard to make changes during treatment.
I would imagine your body's going through so much stress trying to rid itself of the cancer. And I wonder also if it's like the emotional resistance to letting go of things that have manifested physically as well, too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I imagine maybe you read the book, like The Body Keeps the Score. So that really resonated with me too. I've read that like probably a year ago, but I do think it's true. Unfortunately, our bodies really do hold on to things. They listen to the thoughts that are going on in our head all day long. So they really are like so connected.
I think what's really powerful about your story too, like post the cancer treatment, is suffering from the period issues. I have endometriosis. I've suffered from painful periods my whole life. And I know that many women that I work with family constellation therapy are struggling with painful periods or fatigue or mood swings, or, it concerns me how we've normalized PMDD, like how everyone. And so in your experience, what are some of the biggest maybe myths around hormone health, and what do you wish more women knew? And I know it's hard to answer that because everyone is so unique in their own experience, but I'm sure there's things that you can share with that.
Totally. Yeah. It's so unfortunate that we are not taught anything, literally anything about our hormones. We're taught that we have a period, that we need to be careful having sex, and when we want to get pregnant, we'll get pregnant. Like that's literally what we're taught. And there's so much missing there. And I mean, I think the number one thing I want women to know is like PMS, PMDD is a little different, but a lot of the times can be controlled and reduced and completely avoided. Pain-free periods. It's incredible. But we need to understand why they're painful in the first place or why you're experiencing certain symptoms, like what's the root cause, and then make changes based on that. And I think a really big miss is how connected nutrition and the food that we put into our body is connected to our hormones. That's like, I think, such a big miss, unfortunately.
Well, I've also noticed that with hormone issues comes like gut issues because your body's
Yes.
not sending the correct signals, right? And
Mhm.
it's interesting. I'm now thinking about this too. Is I've been diagnosed with endometriosis for 15 years now,
Mhm.
and not a single doctor that works in Western medicine, at least, ever measured my hormones ever. Not once. I did my first Dutch
Wow.
test 3 years ago, and the doctor said, you have high this, high that. You have Hashimoto's, and unfortunately, you'll never be able to heal from it. And so you're going to have to get on Levoxrin, whatever those medications are. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm not doing that. There has to be a
Mhm.
different way. Only, get this, I'm 34. Only 3-4 months ago, my naturopath did a different kind of Dutch test on me. It was like over 3 days instead of the 28. And she's
Okay.
like, honey, your estrogen is through the freaking roof.
Mm.
No wonder you're breaking out. You have stress. You hold on to weight. You've got the cortisol belly. You
Mhm.
can't digest. Like, she's like, no wonder. She's like, no one's ever run this test before. And I was like,
It's
not a
crazy.
single freaking person. It just like makes
So
me so
frustrating.
angry because I'm like, we could have avoided years of this.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And
It's
she put me on
crazy.
calcium D-glucarate and I'm
Uh-huh.
good. Like I've had more energy. My periods haven't
Wow.
been as painful. So it's just, yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy to me.
It's so frustrating. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, it really is so frustrating. And like, always with my clients, I'm like, when you're getting blood work, like make sure you're asking for these things because they don't test our hormones. Like they
Yeah.
barely test our thyroid. And it's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, it's so wild. And our hormones literally rule every single process and system in our body. Like it's crazy. It's so frustrating.
I mean, especially as women, it was life-changing for me to learn that women go through a 28-day cycle, but
Mhm.
men go through that same cycle in 24 hours. And I
Mhm.
learned that from the hours of 7 to 10 p.m. is like men's hormone levels are similar to when women have their period. Did you know that?
Interesting. No.
I was like,
Wait,
okay,
that's so
noted.
interesting.
Yeah, but I
Okay.
didn't know that about the men's hormone cycle and women's hormone
Yeah.
cycle. It's just, yeah, I've learned a
Yeah.
lot. Anyways,
Yeah.
I want to go back to the nutrition piece because I think that's such
Mhm.
an important piece of it. Tell us, wisdom you've gained over this process of understanding nutrition, and
Mhm.
go off about anything. I find it interesting that nutrition tends to be a very controversial topic these days around
Mhm.
sourcing, or it's like, no, our food in the US is not healthy. It's not promoting a
Mhm.
healthy lifestyle. The system wants to keep us sick. Like, you can get controversial if you want to. I'm just basically opening the door for that if you need to be.
I appreciate it. Open floor.
Yeah.
I will likely not be controversial because I think we're overcomplicating food. Like we really are. Like a lot of the times it's like trending or whatever. There's diets, there's fads, there's supplements. Like let's get back to the basics of
Yeah.
nutrition. Like our macros, our carbohydrates, our fats, our proteins, and our micronutrients, our fiber, our vitamins, and our minerals. Like that is what we need. We cannot control the food sources here. So like let's try our best to just eat what we can, get organic when you can. But I just think there's so much stress and overwhelm around food where people just do nothing and then they eat fast food or really unhealthy food where it's like this almost feel the healthy kind of food that we're meant to just eat or we're like made to eat feels too overwhelming for people, which makes me sad. And like that's what I try to like just help people understand. We really just need to get back to the foundations of nutrition. Like
Mhm.
that is most important. So having those balanced meals with all of those things that I said, so protein, healthy fat, healthy carbohydrates. And when I say healthy carbohydrates, I mean like natural carbs, so like whole grains, sweet potatoes, beans, legumes, things like that. Those three things and then lots of fiber from fruits and veggies. And ideally we're getting all of that in every single meal. And even that I think sounds overwhelming sometimes for people. I have lots of resources for that, but like really if you're like following healthy people, healthy cooking people on Instagram, like most of their meals have all of those things.
Yeah.
So that's like the first thing I focus on with every client and what I really try to preach, even though it's not like sexy and fun and exciting. But that's really like what we should focus on.
Yeah, well, and also like I guess no, it's not controversial, but it is in the sense that it's more simple than what's trendy these days
Yeah.
of like
Yeah.
hyper. Yeah, it's interesting to me. The food space is very interesting to me, especially with just what's being spoken about on social media right now about like sourcing food and like this fat or this thing, or, you know, we're promoting all of these like trendy products, but really they kind of sometimes draw us away from the basics of what our bodies really need. And for myself, I've also learned as a woman the importance of the minerals that you talked about and getting adequate vitamins every day. Like I've been taking a prenatal powder, not even realizing I was feeling so sluggish and tired. I thought it was part of my autoimmune, and some of it was, but when I started introducing a prenatal with all these vitamins into my system, I started getting more energy, and I was like, all I needed to do was just have vitamins every day. Like we don't even get that. Hey everyone, Kat popping in during the episode today to share that I have something so exciting to announce. I just launched a brand new series of meditations on Insight Timer, the world's #1 meditation app with over 31 million users. I'll be releasing 10 new meditations every month now through August. And the best part? They're totally free, including downloading the app. The guided meditations on Insight Timer aren't just about ancestral healing. They're designed to help you understand how inherited patterns, pain, fears, or choices show up in your everyday life, your relationships, your self-worth, parenting experiences, or even your health. Each one gently helps you untangle those threads so you can move forward feeling more grounded, clear, and connected. Just download the Insight Timer app, search my name, Kat Dow, or click the link in the show notes below. Make sure you're subscribed to my email newsletter to get updates every month on the new meditations coming to your phone soon. All right, let's get back to the episode.
Yeah, right. Totally. And unfortunately too, I think a lot of like, it's kind of fiber is starting to like trend right now, I'm seeing, but like the trend right now is like protein, you know, like protein. And it's like, yes, but also like you need veggies. Like don't just eat like a bunch of beef and like some rice, you know, and sweet potatoes. Like that's great, but like you need greens, we need all the fiber. So yeah. And then those vitamins and minerals are so important, and we can get them from our food, but a lot of us don't get enough or whatever. So if you can get that tested and supplement as needed, then I think that's important. But also too, like, I don't know if you see on TikTok, like all of these supplements that are just being pushed and sold, like cortisol face, like you're not ugly, you just have cortisol face. I'm like, oh my God. And then they're pushing some supplement that is going to absolutely do nothing. And it's just like, I can't whip to. I'm like, no, just let's eat like healthy food and manage our stress and move our bodies.
Well, that's the next thing I was going to ask you, is because if we look at like the pillars of health, you know, there is such an emphasis on physical health, but at the same time, our emotional health and our nervous system, again, another trendy topic, but it is so true. You know, like the days that I have good days with my autoimmune is when I'm regulated. I've meditated once or twice. I've done red light therapy. Maybe I've worked out or gone on a walk. Like I've taken care of my nervous system, and I didn't realize how much that impacted my hormonal healing. So can you explain the connection between chronic stress, cortisol, and hormone imbalances?
Yes, for sure. That's like the #1, honestly. But stress is the #1 cause of hormonal imbalances. Cortisol is a hormone, and it's so intricately connected. You know, nervous system regulation, like you don't regulate your nervous system without also working on balancing your hormones. Like they're very one and the same. So yes, so cortisol is our stress hormone. Our adrenal glands produce cortisol. And when we're chronically stressed, and this doesn't even mean physical, like kind of mental stress more, you know, whether you're stressed at work or stressed with family stuff or relationship, like, yes, of course that is stressful, but I'm also talking about physical stress on the body. So not getting enough sleep, overworking, over exercising, not taking time during the day to just like be, even for it's like a minute, you know, we're go. And especially as women, like we are kind of meant to take care of everyone else, and we rarely take time for ourselves. And that is what's really causing like so many of these imbalances. Kind of the science-y-ish behind it is essentially like when cortisol is elevated consistently, that's telling our brain to shut off other processes in the body because our body stays in that fight or flight mode. So for instance, it slows down our metabolism to hold on to fat and energy because it thinks we need to like run from a bear or flee the scene or whatever. it also shuts down or really slows down progesterone production. Progesterone is our like rest and digest hormone, essentially. It stimulates the nervous system to regulate. And a lot of us are low in progesterone because we have high cortisol. When we have high cortisol, again, it shuts off that progesterone production. When we have low progesterone in relation to estrogen, because they balance each other out, that means we're high estrogen dominance, which sounds like maybe what you're experiencing. And that is really common. So cramps, headaches, bloating, acne, all of these things that we're taught are normal are actually signs of estrogen dominance.
Crazy. All they had to do was run a freaking blood test. Yeah, I had lower progesterone, high estrogen, and low cortisol, very low cortisol. Like it wasn't really peaking throughout the day. So I don't have it with me now, but at 10 and 2 every day, I take a whole dropper of cordyceps, immediately feel myself come back. I'm like, okay, I'm here. I've got energy again. It's just mushrooms, but it's good for cortisol, my doctor said.
Right. Yeah, that's amazing. And low cortisol can happen because when we're outputting too much cortisol over time, our adrenals are like fatigued and they're like, we're done. We can't do it anymore. So then low cortisol starts.
Well, and because the community of the Heal with Kat podcast is so accustomed to me dropping knowledge like this, I'm just going to drop some ancestral knowledge too. If you have family patterns of survival or hustle, like immigration, war, poverty, like if your lineage has had to work really, really hard in order to survive, you could adopt a predisposition to autoimmune, stress, like how you manage stress. Like this is epigenetics. This is not like woo-woo. This is like epigenetics of like, you won't have the tools capable inside of you from birth potentially to navigate these stressors. So then you become predisposed to these imbalances. But as you said, you can heal it. It's just about simplifying, going back to the basics, which I totally believe in, but also that nervous system approach, which I am so grateful to live in this day and age where we get to have conversations about the nervous system, because I swear we could have mitigated so many issues in the past. And also the stress thing is really interesting that you brought up too, because in this course I'm taking with Dr. Gabor Mate, he says that in the 70s, 1 in 30 women or something were diagnosed with Parkinson's, or 1 in 30 women or something like that. It was a lot. And now 1 in 3 women are diagnosed with Parkinson's because their bodies are so exhausted from taking care of everybody else that their bodies eventually shut down and cannot handle the load, because they're not just carrying the load for themselves. They're carrying the mental load for the home, for the partner, for the kids. And he says it's not to bypass the other partner's experience, especially in more traditional relationships with a male, but it's just that male and females for thousands of years have lived a certain way. It's only now in modern day times that we're shifting that narrative or that idea. And so our bodies haven't caught up with that yet. And it's really changing women's health as a whole.
Yeah, it's so true. So true. And a lot of like almost every single one of my like cancer clients that are, you know, recovering from treatment or whatever, all are women. And almost every single one, we work on taking time for themselves, like because they have historically been go, you know, taking care of the whole family, and they feel guilty. And, you know, I don't have kids yet, but a lot of my clients do. And they feel guilty for taking that time for themselves. And I'm like, you have to, like, we have to, again, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes a day, like we have to have some time to check in with ourselves to calm our nervous system down and like remind our bodies that we're safe.
We've talked a lot about your personal experience healing after cancer treatments, and now you're helping other women do that, which is such a beautiful way to be of service. How do you approach healing for cancer survivors once the treatment ends, especially when it comes to rebuilding trust in your own body and navigating those post-treatment symptoms? Because I'm assuming from what I've seen with a couple people in my life who have gone through cancer and treatment that their bodies are completely different from when they go into it. They are depleted to the nth degree of everything they need in order to live a healthy life.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really hard because, again, I think it's not talked about enough from our doctors that it takes time for our bodies to recover. And like you just said, our bodies are very different afterwards. And so is our mind. The way our mind works is also very different because it's a traumatic experience. So a lot of the times, most of us, especially after treatment, chemo, radiation, surgery, we have like inflammation in the body, of course, like our body is trying to fight off simultaneously cancer and all of these poison things that we're putting into our body. So inflammation is huge. And I find that like, this is my personal experience. And I know a lot of clients also have had this experience, but for me, I had a lot of like chest pain afterwards, whereas I had that when I was first diagnosed too. So like when that would come in, my mind would immediately be triggered and I would like immediately think the cancer was back. And that happens a lot where some sort of pain, some ache, anything random like that, brain immediately goes to, oh my God, the cancer is back. And like immediate freak out, nervous system. And so a really big thing we focus on is reducing inflammation, because in turn that will produce less physical side effects and then less kind of those like anxious scares. So that's a big thing we focus on with food. So yes, like the foundations of nutrition and adding in protein and all of that, but really anti-inflammatory foods. Try to add that in as much as possible. So that's kind of like the physical side. And then with movement, just trying to get wherever you're at, trying to get a little extra movement in, because a lot of the times most of us are just resting a lot, right, during treatment. And so kind of building that strength back up, which can sometimes be frustrating. We kind of expect our bodies to like be back where they were, but they're really not. So adding in like easy, simple movement that feels good is important, again, for that inflammation piece. And then it's so good for the brain. And then the mindfulness piece is huge, 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 huge. Again, one, taking time during the day to do some sort of practice, whether that's journaling or meditation. But I also have some specific practices to help with reducing fear of recurrence, because that's what the majority of us experience. So those are kind of like my big focuses with people who are just kind of finishing treatment.
Can you tease the audience a little bit with what that practice is for fear of recurrence?
For sure. Yes. So I don't know if you've read the book Radical Acceptance by Tara Brach.
I literally have it sitting right there on my floor.
Oh my God. It's my favorite book.
You know what? I literally can't get past like the third chapter because I feel way too attacked by them.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I've heard that before, but like keep going. Honestly, it changed my life. Like truly.
Really? Okay. I will get to chapter 4 for you.
Try. I know it can be a little triggering for people too at the beginning, but it really did change my life. I like love it. But a big piece to that, a big like kind of idea in that book is like accepting your thoughts rather than fighting them constantly. Like, so for instance, if I'm scared, like cancer is back, but like I shouldn't be thinking this. Why am I thinking this? It's so negative. I should be happy. I should be grateful. Pause. Just acknowledge the thoughts. Like this is step one. Just acknowledge the thoughts. Like they're there. Of course they're there. Makes sense that they're there. Like let's thank them. It's our brain trying to protect us and protect our body and prepare us. We don't need them right now. But so that first step of just being like, okay, this fear is here. It's okay that it's here. I'm going to let it pass for now. I don't need to like attach to it at this moment. Rather than fighting it, that's just like a huge, just immediate, like a little bit relaxation. The second piece is to take like 3 to 4 deep belly breaths. So to calm the physical nervous system so that your logical brain can kind of come back online. Because when we get into that anxious loop and like fear and all of that, our logical brain goes to the side. So 1, acknowledge the thoughts. 2, take some deep belly breaths. The third one is to write out facts, like facts of your situation. My last scan was clear. My blood work looked normal. My doctor said I was good. Like the facts that could be proven in a court of law. No thoughts, no fears, just write out the facts. And then we finish with a mantra, which everyone has like a different mantra, but maybe it's I'm taking one day at a time, or today I feel healthy, or, something like that, that just calms the body down and calms the mind down. Like when you say it, you're like, okay, yes, like I'm okay. So that's my little 4-step process with people.
I mean, I feel calm just listening to you say that. It's like I'm putting myself in the shoes of your words. Have you ever heard of the Activations app? It used to be called Superhuman.
No.
It was started by a woman named Mimi Bouchard, and I listen to it every day. And it's like meditations or activations. You can do walking, cooking, cleaning, just sitting. Like she has so many different. Yeah. And for some reason, it's coming up to share just because I feel like it would be a really great resource for people that you work with too.
Wait, I'm going to write that down. What's it called? The activation?
The little app logo is like orange, blue, and yellow or red or something. But yeah, the power of the mind is so crazy. And I think for me, I've learned that with the power of the mind, there also needs to be repetition. As my fiance says, I got to get my reps in. He says, I got to get my reps in. But it's true. You really do
Yes.
have to get your reps in because you can't undo, 15 years of a belief with one
Mhm.
affirmation once a day. You have to
Right.
almost practice, live it. What is one of
Mhm.
your biggest affirmations or like mantras that you have,
Mhm.
especially post treatment and like rebuilding your life after cancer?
Mhm. A big one, because I'm a control freak. A big one is I let go of control and allow flow into my life. That's a big one. A big one is also like take one day at a time. And like today, I'm okay. Sometimes if I'm going through a really hard time, it's like 1 hour at a time.
Yeah.
Because we tend to future trip, and that's obviously what anxiety really is. It's fear of like the future and what could happen. For me, like keeps me back into the present moment.
Do you like Louise Hay's work?
Know them.
Louise Hay. Oh, you got to check
Yeah.
out Louise Hay too. It's
Okay,
called
I'm writing
the
her
book
down.
is yeah, the book is called You Can Heal Your Life, and she connects mantras with illnesses and disease in the body. And so the one
Mhm.
for endometriosis is I love being a woman. So when I'm about to get my period, I'm like, I love being
Oh,
a woman. Like I don't know that
wait,
I
I
always
love
love them. Or the other one for Epstein-Barr is I'm allowed to be free. So I have on
Mm.
my computer this little post-it note that says I'm allowed to be free. And I
Oh,
just
I
think this
love
stuff really
it.
helps. So you might find it really
Yeah,
fascinating too.
I
Yeah.
would love that. I'm like
Yeah.
gonna order that right after this.
She was a powerhouse and now she's crossed over. But
Mm.
yeah. So speaking of mindfulness and the body and all of these amazing things that we've talked about in terms of women's health that are just so empowering, honestly, you integrate yoga and mindfulness into your work. And I'm curious what you believe the role what movement plays in balancing hormones and how can women
Mm.
use movement as a medicine rather than a stressor. And I know we kind of touched on this, but I
Mhm.
really want to expand on it because I do
Yeah.
think that women are in a world where we've never been more empowered to have careers and to be powerful and
Mhm.
to not have to choose the path of, this or that. Like we have so much freedom these days. But I also feel
Mhm.
like we live in a patriarchal, fast paced hustle mentality world where we're trying to keep up all the
Yeah.
time and we're paying the
Yeah.
price for it in our bodies. So tell us your thoughts on
Mm.
that.
Yeah. So I'll start with the movement piece because that it does play a huge role in, of course, our overall health, but definitely hormone balance. And it's tricky with movement and exercise because a lot of us are overdoing it or not doing enough. There's kind of a sweet spot in the middle. Because if we're overdoing, well, both, if we're overdoing it or not doing enough, that affects our cortisol. The way to kind of know if you're overdoing it, just because I think that can be hard to understand, is like if 30 minutes to an hour after your workout, you're tired and exhausted, that might not be the workout for you at the moment. You might want to kind of pull back, do, whatever it is. If you're doing a HIIT class, I don't really recommend HIIT classes, but if that's your thing, that's fine. But if you're doing that and you're exhausted, maybe next time you go, you walk on an incline instead of run and see how that feels. Or, you do like a Pilates class instead or something. But essentially just kind of listening to your body in that way, I think can be really powerful. I'll tell just an experience that because I've recently like switched out my little like workout routine because I was noticing that my body was getting so fatigued. I do hot yoga and I've been doing like hot yoga sculpt for the last several years. And that's been my main like workout and type of movement. And I was just noticing in the last few months that my body has been getting like so fatigued where I'm not feeling energized after anymore. I'm feeling tired. My body is really sore and like hurts, not in a good way. And so I'm just noticing like I need to build more strength. I need more muscle, to protect like my joints and things like that. And so I joined a gym for the first time since like college.
She's a gym girl
And
now.
I know I'm a gym girly and it's actually been feeling so good. Like I joined a month ago, so I'm no expert, that's for sure. But I am doing like a lower body day, an upper body day, and then 2 yoga sculpts per week. And it feels so much better. I have so much more energy. Like I feel like I'm building strength again. So
Yeah.
things change, like it's never going to be the same for our entire lives. But just being like really intentional and paying attention to how your body feels is like very, very important with the movement piece of things.
Okay, we need to go off on this a little bit because I think that, okay, so for me, I was lifting weights for like 2 years consistently and I felt really good in my
Okay.
body. And then I got the Epstein
Yeah.
Barr trigger and the autoimmune stuff started triggering. Actually, it was triggered by a concussion I got last year. And after that,
Oh,
everything
wow.
just like got really bad. And I had to stop
Mhm.
working out a little bit, but I needed to move my body.
Mhm.
So I started to lift weights a little bit and I noticed I would feel exhausted afterwards. But I was like, this must mean that I had a good workout, that I was like pushing myself. I should be so proud of myself that I pushed myself so hard that I feel so exhausted after. And then I started realizing that the exhaustion wouldn't go away. And so I switched to yoga.
Yeah.
I mean, I've taught, I'm a yogi too. I taught for a few years in the Central Coast in California. And I kind of, after COVID, gave it up a little bit. And so I reincorporated it back into my regular routine last year. And then I started doing reformer Pilates. And now I leave workouts, and I do Zumba too, but that's just because I love to dance. It's so fun. But I leave a workout now and I can go live my day and not feel like I'm absolutely gonna die. But go off on why you don't like HIIT workouts, because I feel like women, we need to plaster this in Times Square. Again, guys, this is a personal opinion.
I know.
But tell us why HIIT workouts are actually not as beneficial long-term as we think they are.
Because cortisol, like they drive our cortisol up. I mean, if you think about it, you're sprinting as hard as you possibly can. Then you're going and lifting heavy weights. Your form is probably not correct. When we're lifting weights, we should actually go slower, because when we go fast, it's actually not really doing anything. And you're just like in this like state of stress. And then we leave. It's not like we're leaving that. And then we come home and we like have 10 minutes of meditation and ease into the day. We're doing that. And then we're running home, we're checking emails, we're getting on calls, we're washing our hair, we're going to work, like taking care of the kids, whatever it is, we're running. Whereas like in yoga or Pilates, yes, it's hard, but it's so connected to the breath that it's actually good for the nervous system. Like we're actually paying attention to the breath. You ease in, you ease out of the class. Like it's a very different experience. Also with strength training, like we should be stretching and like easing into the workout before and after. So HIIT classes are just not meant for that, and doesn't give us time to like breathe and calm down afterwards. We're just running. So it's just basically a disaster for our cortisol levels.
RIP to my 20s, honestly. I just destroyed my health in my 20s.
Me too. Me too. I was doing Orange Theory every day at 5 a.m. Like I can't.
Yeah. Like, you know, I think even though we think we're getting worse as a society, I actually think in some ways we're getting better, that we're not like killing ourselves anymore over this stuff. But it's so true. Why do you think that some women are so, you know, because there's some women out there who are very fit and very, they thrive in that HIIT world. Like, why do you think that is?
Well, I think one, genetics, like I think that plays a big role. And two, someone can look really fit and healthy, but not necessarily be healthy. You know, they might be, but I'm just saying in general, like just because you look healthy and fit doesn't mean you're maybe necessarily healthy and fit on the inside. Like, you know, who knows? But who knows their stress levels, if they sleep well, like what their blood work looks like, you know, like, so I think it's hard to compare. But I mean, I'm sure some women do HIIT and feel amazing, you know, and are like totally fine and balanced. They're very lucky. But like, I don't know any of them. I think yeah, I think genetics plays a big role. And I think healthy to me means like holistically healthy. Like, yes, I can, you know, look a certain way on the outside, but like mentally and, you know, spiritually, how do I feel?
For any woman that's listening right now who is not as invested in these topics like we are, and you know, it sounds like, well, I know just from listening to you and we've kind of chatted about this, health and wellness tends to be like a huge part of our lives. So if there's a woman who's listening to this podcast right now and she's really resonating with a lot of the struggles and a lot of the beliefs that you have around health and wellness, but let's just say she's not as intertwined or she hasn't adopted a lifestyle in, you know, as deeply in health and wellness as, let's just say, that we've been talking about. What are some things that she can start doing today to improve her health, to feel like there's hope in her body?
Yeah. So I think we've all been there, right? Like if you're in this space at some point, you've been at that time where you're like, I don't really know where to start. So I always start with nutrition. I think that's like not necessarily the easiest place, but it's kind of the place where we can most easily take action, make changes. And you'll also notice changes pretty quickly once you start to shift your nutrition, depending obviously on where you're starting and what your symptoms are. I also really recommend, and not in a toxic way, like tracking, but not like calories or like MyFitnessPal or anything. Like just even on your own or an iPhone note, like I really do recommend tracking, even if it's for like 1 week or 2 weeks, like what you're eating, your stress level during the day, your energy, sleep, and then movement. because we are all going through the motions and we're not paying attention to what's actually happening most of the time. So if you can track and be aware of what's happening, then from that, you can start to make shifts. So if you're like, oh yeah, like I'm not eating breakfast, like, okay, perfect. First thing, let's make some breakfast and prep whatever. Or I'm not having protein at lunchtime. Like starting to notice those things is the most important. That's where I start with everyone, like just observation mode. So that's like a very actionable thing that you can start doing. And again, like don't have to like do calories or anything because like I don't like that. So those are kind of the first, like that would be like my first recommendation of like doing that. And then I love that you said Insight Timer and that you have meditations on there. I love Insight Timer. It's like a free app with thousands of meditations. I would say like get on there and even like one time a week, do like a 5-minute meditation and just like without judgment, just like see how it feels, breathe, try not to get frustrated. I know sometimes it can be frustrating, but that's a part of the process. I would say those two things first, like start tracking, shifting your nutrition, whatever makes sense based on what you're seeing, and then add in a little like mini meditation to start.
Yeah, like start with the mind-body connection.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the mind-body connection too. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say tracking really helps with that too, because you can like be like, oh, I didn't eat enough today. That's why I'm so tired. Or that's why like my mood is so low. Like it's so connected. So being aware of that is really important.
I laugh because my naturopath did a blood test on me and she's like, you need to eat a little bit more protein. And I was like, you can tell that from a blood test. And she's like, yeah, you need to eat a little bit more protein. And I was like, I just scarfed down a whole can of tuna. I'm supposed to eat more protein than that? Like, how is that even possible? It's sometimes really hard to get that protein, and especially because a lot of, I'm the kind of person that doesn't always want to eat animal-based protein all the time. Sometimes I don't want to eat that much. I did the carnivore-ish diet for a little bit, but I only lasted like 3 or 4 months because I was like, I can't eat that much meat all the time.
No, that's a lot.
I need to get your thoughts on this. What are your thoughts on coffee before food?
No, don't do it.
Tell us why.
Eat before your coffee.
Tell us
Eat
about
before your
blood
coffee.
sugars.
That is
less on blood sugar.
Yes. Blood sugar and cortisol. Like that is a punch to the adrenals right away. First thing, we need that protein before our caffeine to slow down that cortisol spike. So it's so important to eat. That took me, by the way, 2 years to honestly like do fully. Like my naturopath told me, she told me multiple times. I'm like, oh, whatever. And then I changed it and it has changed my life forever. Like I actually can't have coffee on an empty stomach. I get a headache immediately. Eat before your coffee. Like it actually is so important.
What about matcha?
I would say same. Like I think just any caffeine I would try to eat before. Just also like it's just important to fuel your body within the first, 30 to 60 minutes of waking up with protein and fuel so that you can like have energy throughout the day and keep your blood sugar stable and all of that. So yeah, I would say eat before that too.
There's some studies that are coming out about the connection between blood sugar and PCOS.
Yes.
What have you learned about that? Because you have PCOS or you're working through the PCOS. Yeah. So tell us what you've learned about that, because I think that was very interesting.
That's a huge connection. So PCOS, we're more prone to insulin resistance and insulin sensitivity. So essentially, when our blood sugar is dysregulated, that really impacts our hormones, everyone's. But if you have PCOS, it even more so impacts our hormones. So that will cause more stress on the body. That will cause more androgens, which are, testosterone, our male hormones. And those being high cause irregular periods, painful periods, all of those things, hair on the face with PCOS, we have that. All the fun things that we experience with PCOS, like blood sugar dysregulation makes all of those symptoms worse. So it's very, very interconnected. So again, why it's so important to have protein, healthy fats, the natural carbs and fiber, because that all keeps your blood sugar regulated.
We've got to move away from the 90s trends of starving yourself, because we're now seeing the repercussions of it 20, 30 years later, where everyone's got these crazy health issues, blood sugar, it's so interesting to see how we've evolved as a society when it comes to diet and exercise. I will say that even though there are a lot of trendy things to try to keep up with, or there's still these fads here and there, I think in general, what I'm seeing is that most people are saying, just eat something, eat the best option that you can. Just don't starve yourself. I mean, we could even go off on the topic of women fasting, because I've also heard that can be very detrimental to your hormones. And I've heard that the best time to fast for a woman is your follicular phase, and then the day that you ovulate, stop fasting, because your body needs that nutrients to have a period 2 weeks later. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's like honestly too, it's really interesting. I obviously work with women on hormone balances, but also who want to lose weight. A lot of that is connected obviously to our hormones, especially post 30. And almost all of them are not eating enough. I'm like, we have to eat. You have to eat during the day. We got to eat breakfast. We have to eat lunch. Like fasting is not good for us as women, especially if you're having coffee first thing in the morning. Like your body is in high stress mode. It's in fight or flight. It's going to hold on to all that stuff. So we need to eat for sure. Like your body needs fuel, especially if you're like ramping up workouts and all these things, like you need the energy to burn off. Yeah. So yes, eat. It's so important. We're so scared of food, but like really we should be just focusing on like the beauty and the power of food. It's really so important.
1,000,000%. And actually, I don't know the exact science behind this, but I learned a long time ago that when you eat, it calms your vagus nerve because it goes down into your gut from the brainstem. And so when you eat, it actually regulates your nervous system. And so that's a lot of the science behind emotional eating, is that people are actually finally relaxing when they eat, the act of eating.
Interesting.
So isn't that interesting? Yeah,
yeah, that makes sense. That's really interesting.
It makes so much sense, right? And so we're all stressed all day long, and then we finally get to eat something, and then we're just like shoveling it in our mouth because it finally feels so good to eat. Right. But it's actually your body saying like, thanks for taking care of me for once.
Exactly. Right. Yeah,
oh my
exactly.
Goodness. I love this. So in your work, how do you help clients bridge the gap between what conventional medicine is saying is fine, which we've talked a lot about today, and what your body is actually communicating?
Yeah, I mean, that's like honestly, yes, I help people implement change. Like that's a big thing. But I think the biggest thing is helping women be conscious and mindful of their bodies and what their bodies are telling them. We work a lot on like starting to track your cycle and understanding what these symptoms mean and what these, kind of different hormone fluctuations are telling you. Like most of us don't even understand that in our luteal phase, we need more food and we need more rest. Like that alone is a huge win when someone starts to be like, yeah, I did notice my energy started to lower and like I allowed myself to rest. I'm like, yes, like that is huge. If we keep just pushing ourselves, we're going to have all these symptoms and then, later in life, even bigger health issues. So it's super important to just start to be mindful of what your body is telling you, connect the mind and body, and take care of those pillars that I talk about all the time, which nutrition, movement, and mindfulness. Yeah, that's really what I focus on with people.
I love it. I've been wanting to have a conversation like this on the podcast for a long time.
I'm because so excited.
Yeah, me too, honestly, Maddy, because I just feel like so many women out there don't understand their bodies in this way. And I've been really deep in learning a lot of this stuff for the last year, and I haven't really had anyone to geek out about it with on the podcast. So I'm glad that we got to geek out
it's my favorite
together.
Topic.
I mean, I can
talk about it literally forever. It's the coolest thing ever.
I cannot agree more. And I told you this in the beginning of the podcast, but I've done all of these things in the last year to help heal my autoimmune and trying to put it into remission. But it's that nervous system piece, the subconscious, the PTSD, the unhealed trauma that's been suppressed, that's still running the show in the background. But if I did not have the foundational tools of taking care of my physical body, it's almost like you have to have them both together. You have to figure out what your life is going to look like for the brain and the body together. So I'm so excited that we got to talk about this. If you could create your perfect wellness day, what would it be?
Oh, love that question. Like maybe today, honestly. Just day in general or like wellness, just wellness focused?
Like if you could, with your knowledge and your expertise, if you could craft like the most healthy, balanced, authentic health and wellness day, like just a random day in your life, what would it look like? What would it feel like?
Okay, wow, I love this question. Okay, so I wake up, I meditate immediately. I read for 10 minutes. This is actually my morning routine anyway, but I read for 10 minutes. Then I go and I heat up my little breakfast that I prepped. I eat that. I have my coffee. I sit in bed, maybe watch a little Bravo. I'm obsessed with Bravo. Relax for like an hour, and then I'll start my day, go to a workout, whether that's yoga. I love yoga. I mean, I like the weights and stuff, but like yoga is really my go-to. So I'd go to yoga. go to yoga, come home, shower, and like maybe have a couple clients because that's my favorite thing ever. Have a couple client calls, eat a healthy lunch, maybe like go to the beach, relax, meditate a little on the beach, and then like come home and make a healthy dinner and then go to bed at 9 p.m. That's honestly like my day, which is a dream. Like,
I have to say, Southern California lends itself to a very, very healthy lifestyle. There is so much to do all the time. But what is your favorite hormone balancing breakfast?
Okay, so my favorite breakfast, I prep these every single week. They're like egg biscuits. They're so filling. They're high protein, and they're from this girl, Jen Eats Good, who I'm obsessed with. Her recipes are amazing and so easy. Jen, Jenn, Eats, Good, 3 O's. We just discovered on Instagram. So I seriously prep those every single week. So I'll usually like have one of those to start the day before my coffee just to get some protein in. And then I'll either have like another one after my workout or I'll like make something or have a smoothie or something like that. But that has seriously changed my life, like my go-to.
Yum. Yeah, getting that protein in is so important. Oh my goodness. I just feel like so stoked about this conversation, Maddy. Thank you so much for just sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, your experience, your expertise. And I'm so grateful just that you could be here today with us. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Kat. This has been so fun. Seriously, I could talk about this forever. So I'm so happy to be here.
I can too, honestly. I'm like, every time I ask you a question, another one is like coming up. And I'm like, okay, we got to let people also find you, discover you. So where can they find your magic? Where can they connect with you?
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So on Instagram, I'm Maddy Pollock, MADDYPOLLACK_health. And then my website is maddypollockhealth.com. Like I said, I work one-on-one with clients. I also have an online community called Becoming Balanced Together. I call it BBT. And it's my favorite place on the internet. There's weekly meal plans, mindfulness practices. We do bi-weekly community calls, all about balancing your hormones naturally. Also find me there. You can find all of that on my Instagram.
Is that a membership? Like they pay to be a part of the community?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, everybody go connect with Maddy. I hope that you've all enjoyed the conversation today. And again, Maddy, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Kat, for having me. Thanks, everyone.